It's time for CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Find us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, YouTube, and TuneIn. The easiest thing to do is tell Alexa or Siri to play CBJ in 30. Here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Today, I'm going to mix things up a little bit. As you know, I try to do interviews on my Friday shows, and many times I reach outside of the Blue Jackets organization, try to get somebody in the hockey world, maybe within the organization, get somebody in management. I don't necessarily talk to the players on this edition of the show, but everything has changed in the world, and the players are just like you, and they're just like me. They are sitting at home. They are not able to go very many places. They aren't able to do very many things. Some of them have children. They're at home with their children, trying to help homeschool their children. And this is an opportunity, I thought, just to reach out to some players and just get to know them a little bit better. Just try to get inside what their lives are like away from the rink and outside of hockey. Now, it's a little bit different right now because, as I said, many of them are holed up in their homes, and they're not out doing the things that they normally would be doing. However, because they are just like you and me, I thought this would be a good time to start to catch up with some of them. And today, I'm going to talk with Cam Atkinson. And Cam, of course, is not only a great hockey player, but he's a guy that has missed a lot of this season because of injury. He was just getting ready to come back and play again before the season was paused last week. Cam is also a very big family guy, and he is a small business owner. So all of those things I'm going to bring into today's conversation. But first, I want to tell you about Telhio Credit Union. First of all, thanks to them for being that partner that brings this show to you each and every week. And with everything that's going on around us right now, Telhio Credit Union has been affected just like everyone else. And I invite you to go to their website at telhio.org. They have some very important information on there. One of the things that I want to tell you about is, as of right now, all their in-branch transactions are going to be conducted in the drive-thru only until further notice. Again, social distancing, they would prefer that all of the transactions possible go through the drive-thru. Now, there are some transactions that will be allowed in the lobby areas: home equity and mortgage loans, new auto purchase closings, business loan closings, and business coin deposit transactions, wire transfers, fraud or other sensitive account issues, and safe deposit box access. Now, if you would like to schedule an appointment, you can do that by calling 614-221-3233, or at telhio.org, just go on the live chat option on the right-hand side of the screen on their website, and you can make an appointment that way. Just some of the things that they're doing at Telhio Credit Union to cope, just like you and me. But while you're on that website, you should still go through and see all of the different services that they offer, all of the perks that you may be able to get by using those services. It's all right there. It's all for you. Telhio Credit Union is open to everyone in Central and Southwestern Ohio, and they are federally insured by NCUA. Now let's bring in the man of the hour, Blue Jackets forward Cam Atkinson. And Cam, like I said, you were just getting ready to return to the lineup. Of course, you were injured. You were out for a while. You came back. The injury flared up again. You were just about to come back and play against the Pittsburgh Penguins last Thursday. You were doing the interviews on Wednesday, telling everybody that you were returning to the lineup the very next day, and all of a sudden, the season was put on pause by the NHL. Now, for you, maybe this is not such a bad thing, because this gives you even a little bit more time to make sure you're fully recovered from that injury.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was definitely excited to come back, especially re-injuring the same injury, making it worse. It took a little bit longer this time just because, they said if I came back a little early and re-hurt it, I would have to get surgery. So I wasn't going to take any risks. And finally, I'm excited to come back, and this whole situation happens. It's just been crazy times. Definitely crazy.
Yeah, you've had to watch a lot of games this year because of that injury, and now to have to sit and do absolutely nothing. How has it changed for you? Are you still able to do any kind of workouts? Are you working out at home because you were going to come back? I know that, like some of the guys that are still injured, they can still work out and go through their therapy. Were you beyond that? Is all of your stuff now at home?
I was going to the rink for the first couple of days last week, and then once I kind of found out how serious the situation is with the coronavirus, I wanted to be home and start my quarantine, especially since my wife, Nat, is due next week. So I wasn't going to take any risks. But yeah, I mean, things that I've been doing at home are, things that everyone can do: push-ups, sit-ups, some dips. There's I don't have any workout machines here, so it's hard to kind of do anything, any sort of cardio except run in place. But it kind of gets old after a little bit.
Is it tougher to stay on any kind of a workout schedule being at home? I know, like, the kids are at home and doing schoolwork, and some parents are trying to keep them on somewhat of a school schedule, if you will, and trying to keep them in some kind of a routine. How much more difficult is it to do that workout, not being able to go anywhere, and just trying to do the things that you talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 24/7 being a dad. Declan is 20 months now, and as soon as he wakes up, he's 24/7 on the go until he goes to bed. So
that sounds like cardio right there, Cam.
Yeah. I might have to put a Fitbit on or something just to see how many calories I'm burning in a day. But it's it's definitely been an adjustment. But I couldn't be happier just being home and being with family and spending some quality time with Declan before the new baby comes next week.
Yeah, as you mentioned, with that new baby, I mean, this was a time where I don't even know where the heck we were supposed to be this week, but there were going to be games going on. There was a big trip coming up to Toronto, New York, Tampa, Dallas. That is time that you wouldn't have been there, and now you are there. So, yeah, that's one of the that's not that there are many advantages to this thing, don't get me wrong, but for you, it is a little bit of an advantage for that family time.
Yeah, that's literally the only advantage in this situation. Scary times out there. I mean, I had my flight's already booked for right after the Ranger game to come back. She was going to get induced the 25th, stay the night, and then I was going to meet the boys in Tampa the 26th for that back-to-back. But obviously things have changed. Just kind of hunker down here.
It's funny, as you mentioned, your son is 20 months old. Now you're bringing a new baby into the world. 2 weeks ago, bringing a new baby into the world just seemed like a regular thing to do, not a big deal. Now, do you have more concerns? Do you think about different things now with the world and the state that it is at this moment?
No, absolutely. It's my wife is almost 39 weeks pregnant, so I pretty much have put her on lockdown in the house for the last couple of weeks. And obviously every day you kind of learn something new about what's going on and how it's affecting more and more people or certain things to stay away from. And I'm not taking any risks. I'm not taking any chances. So keeping her kind of locked up, and I've done the same. The only time she left the house was 2 days ago to go see the doctor. So it's scary times for sure. I wish obviously a lot more people would kind of, understand the severity of the situation and stay home. And it's pretty tough to see all these kids kind of out during spring break and stuff like that and taking the chance. And, we're doing our part over here, that's for sure. I've been, like I said, hunkered down here and doing some video for the Battery Hockey Academy, which has been good, and kind of trying to get Declan involved and teaching him how to, shoot the ball and the puck downstairs in the basement. So it's been pretty positive for me staying at home.
We talk about you and how you're at home with your wife and she's due and all these things, all good things. What about from her perspective? The wives are not used to having us around at this time of the year by any means. I mean, this is we're not supposed to be here. You look at the calendar, we're supposed to be gone, and they're supposed to have a couple more weeks of doing things their way or being in their routine, and all of a sudden, bam, we're all right there. What's it like for her?
It's, she watches a lot of news. She's tried to kick me out of the house a couple times, but there's obviously nowhere to go. But, we're in this together, and she obviously understands the severity. I think she's actually really happy for my situation and being home because her mom and sister were supposed to come last week from Boston, but, they ended up flying back to Florida yesterday because her younger sister was at Boston College, and they were kind of on lockdown and had to leave right away. But her mom and sister aren't going to take any chances, so they're going to be in Florida for the next 14 days to self-quarantine. So, obviously we would love for their help, but it's all on me right now. So a lot of pressure, but I think I'll rise to the occasion.
Yeah, being a pro athlete, if you can't handle that pressure, there's a problem, right? The best thing about life today, or the world today, I should say, is what we're doing right now. The way to communicate and actually visually communicate, which is one of the things I think that'll help everybody get through this, because, as you said, your in-laws can't come in, but yet you can get on the phone and you can FaceTime and you can do all of those things. So at least, even with this social distancing that is going on, that brings everybody as close together as you can hope.
Yeah, you kind of take it for granted, right? And, you think you might spend a lot of time with your family or talk to them, and you don't really realize until you're kind of in the situation and just being around them, obviously, a lot more 24/7. But being able to FaceTime, thank God for FaceTime. I mean, even before this on the road, that's all we would do to communicate and stuff like that. So it's a great way to keep in touch with the family, see how everyone's doing. Hopefully everyone's doing the right things as far as, self-quarantining at their homes. But yeah, FaceTime has been really good.
Now, of course, another angle I can talk to you about this from is being a small business owner, because you are. You mentioned the Battery Academy that you're a part of there. Small businesses are being hit all over the place. Businesses are closing down. Restaurants are closed. The bars are closed. The barbershops have closed down. It seems like you can't go anywhere. And, that would include to the rink, I imagine. Is your place closed?
Yeah, everyone's affected, no matter, what kind of situation you're in. It's luckily we've been, very successful from the first day, where we're kind of able to sit back and take the ice out right now, and we're putting it back in on Friday. But there's so much unknown. We don't know how long this is going to last. So, you want to hope that this will solve this, this problem sooner than later. But I don't think it's going to, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get solved for a little bit of time. But, you got to control what you can control. And right now you just have to do your part and stay home and self-quarantine.
Now, the hockey seasons are pretty much coming to an end, and I'm talking about the travel seasons and the high school hockey seasons. But for you guys, were you getting near the end of a cycle there, or do you pretty much do you have it going pretty much year-round because of the way that you instruct, especially some younger kids?
No, we have it year-round, and our busiest time is in the summer. That's when a lot of kids are, want to stay in shape, and whether they're trying to make a AAA team or make the high school team or trying to advance in their field. And that's kind of the toughest part. We were pretty much sold out for the next 3 months. All summer we were sold out for months in advance, but, things obviously change. And like I said, it is what it is right now. There's a lot worse things happening in the world. And, we'll figure out how to manage the situation with the Battery. But we can do only what we can do right now.
How much have you enjoyed getting involved in that venture, and how much time do you get to spend over there and actually, working and instructing and doing some of the fun aspects of the game?
Yeah, you know what? With my business partners, we didn't really understand how successful it was going to be and how popular it was going to be right off the hop. And within the first month, it's been great, and just seeing how these kids come in at all ages, all levels, how they've developed over the course of the last 2 years, and hearing their stories and whatnot. But obviously giving back to the community is what I'm all about. And we're in the process of, we were looking at a second location in Columbus. But it's pretty cool to show up. I would show up kind of randomly during the season. It's hard for me to really do anything just with our busy schedule. Summertime is when I kind of have my hockey camps and have some other players come in and do their camps, Jared Bull and stuff like that. But yeah, it's, giving back is my number one thing, and being on the ice and just seeing it on a daily basis, how many kids kind of go in and, work on their skills. It's pretty cool.
You have been obviously in the NHL for quite some time. You've been playing pro hockey for a long time, but every time you walk into that building, it doesn't matter if it's an 8-year-old or a high school kid or a college kid. I mean, they're looking up to you. I mean, you're an NHL star. There's no question about that. As you've developed as a person, how have you handled that? I mean, I would imagine when you're young, it's pretty cool. Maybe it's something that you're not so used to. But now after it's gone on for a long time, how much do you enjoy being a role model every time you walk into that building?
I love it. It's I love seeing the kids' faces every time I walk through the door, and even the parents. The parents are all thanking me every time I go through the door, just because they've never had this opportunity. And we try to make it affordable too, so people can come and obviously learn the game or advance their skills in whatever position or whatever they're trying to work on. But I walk in there and I just try to be a normal person and talk to these kids and kind of give them my background, my story of how I came up through my youth leagues and obviously through high school and college and eventually to the pros, and how everyone kind of wrote me off at such an early age, and just my hunger to kind of prove people wrong and to stick with it. And I just keep telling them, if I can make it to this level, you guys can. So that's the coolest part for sure.
How many hurdles did you have to face when you were growing up, not just because of your size, but whatever it may have been coming up through those youth leagues? At what point did you finally reach an elite level where all that mattered was how well you skated, how much you scored, and how well you played the game?
You still kind of deal with it, even in the pros, no matter how good of a year you had last year. But, it's been going on, for a long time. And, I would say probably by high school is when I realized that, I could have hopefully a career. And my goal obviously was to make it to college, right? Get picked up by eventually Boston College, and luckily kind of all the stars aligned. And every year, whether it was high school, you're always trying to improve from the year before. And then, once you kind of advance to college, next level, it's proving people wrong too, and proving people that you can play at this level. Obviously my freshman year, you're happy that you're there, you do well, but then sophomore year is when you really, you get your feet wet and you need to make an impact. And luckily I was playing with some good players to do that. And but yeah, it happens all the time, Bobby. I think you can read any story you want, and that's what fuels my fire. So it's obviously this year was kind of it's been a whirlwind, and just with injuries and stuff like that. And but as soon as you kind of take your foot off the gas pedal and think that you can't get better, that's when the next guy up is going to take your spot. So got to stay hungry, stay motivated.
Speaking of college hockey, those seasons just ended. They were just over, and they're not going to play anymore. College basketball, same thing. Being a former college athlete, how much do you feel for those players? Like, look, you're on a contract. If this season would not be finished, or if you had an injury that didn't allow you to finish the season, you're going to come back next year. Some of those kids, that's your last chance. They're never going to come back. You've been in that atmosphere. You've played with those kind of players. How much do you feel for them?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, in every sport in college. Look what's happening with March Madness. It's as an athlete, you really look forward to your senior year. I obviously turned pro after my junior year, but my senior year, they won a national championship. So, you might have the best team you've had all 4 years, and you're like, this is my opportunity to do something and win something, and something that people can never take anything away from you. If you get a ring, a banner, it's an unfortunate situation, and yeah, you got to feel for the athletes. It's devastating because not everyone goes on and turns pro, and not everyone it could be their last game. Last time they ever wear a jersey that means something. So it's definitely sad.
You talked a few moments ago about motivation, and we talked about you being a dad. And ever since Declan started coming to the games and getting down by the glass or coming to a practice and all of those things, how much more does that motivate you? Even though he's too young now to really realize and grasp it, but it's not going to be very long before he does. How much does that drive you and motivate you as a dad playing hockey in the NHL?
Yeah, it's he's only been able to come to warm-ups, but he recognizes me through my helmet now, and every time he sees the logo, he's like, Dad, 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 Dad. So it's if it doesn't kind of get you excited and motivate you to kind of be the role model that you've always wanted to be, I don't know why you're playing the game, but I just want to make him proud. Obviously, when he grows up and really understands the sacrifices that my parents had to make, and then I had to make to get to where I'm at now. It wasn't an easy road, and But like I told all these kids at the Battery, I'm going to tell him, if I can do it, you can do it. It's just hard work and putting your mind to something and telling people or making sure that people don't kind of steer your direction and what you want to achieve. And it's been really cool to see him and just get excited and every time he picks up a stick in the basement. And I'm sure you saw my video on Instagram last week when my wife took Declan to the zoo. Everything is hockey. So it doesn't matter if it's a golf club, a stick, he picks it up, and he's got pretty good form right now, I'm not going to lie. So
I was going to ask you what you think about the shot. I was going to have you break down his shot.
I think his one-timer could be better than mine right now. So that's what I'm kind of helping him with right now, just kind of feeding him balls and seeing if he could one-time it and kind of juggling up in the air. He's not at that level yet, but, you got to teach him young.
I did see that post on Instagram, and, we were talking about FaceTime earlier, but social media is such a huge part of life now, but it's a huge part of sports. And for athletes, it's about branding, and it's about getting your story out there a little bit more. As I said at the beginning of this, I want to get more into the personal side of players. You guys are able to do that more and more every day just through your social media. How much do you enjoy opening up part of your life to your fans?
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Branding is definitely huge, especially when you're an athlete. People actually, nowadays, they want to see more of Declan than me, but a lot of people think that we're just athletes. So it's kind of cool to open up my doors and show them that, what I do kind of behind closed doors or outside of the hockey world, even though it might still involve hockey at some point. But yeah, it's unique for the fans and unique for the athlete.
One other thing I noticed on Instagram is a post you had the other day about donating a signed jersey. Tell me a little bit about that. And this is to help fight the coronavirus and help to raise money and awareness. Tell me about that.
Yeah, my financial advisor, OFS, Chris Lake, him and his boss had the idea of kind of coming together, and they represent so many athletes, not just in hockey, but all over the world in different sports. And it's tough times right now. People don't realize the sacrifices that all these doctors and nurses and first responders are they're putting their lives in jeopardy every single day to help fight, this horrible, sickness that's going on. And so anyway, we could give back. That's what it's all about. And, donating a jersey, you can see how far it goes. It's 100% of the proceeds go to fighting the COVID, and trying to figure out a way to end this, to come up with a cure and whatnot. But 100% of everything that's sold or bid on goes to that foundation, which is pretty unique, and they deserve it all.
Something you just said right there really rings true, talking about the healthcare providers and the doctors and the nurses and the EMTs, whoever it is that is dealing with this head-on, one-on-one. With sports out of the picture, I mean, because you guys are always seen as heroes. You're always looked up to, and absolutely there's a place for that, and it's a great thing. But these people really are everyday heroes, and with the rest of the world being stopped, I think they really get to step to the forefront, and they don't even care. They're just trying to do their job. They're just trying to save people. They're just trying to figure out answers and cures, as you just said. So I guess maybe that's another good thing that comes out of this, just a chance to take a half step back and appreciate these kind of people.
Absolutely. They're not here for the notoriety or the publicity. They're the ones, getting thrown into the front of the line and trying to deal, with this sickness that really people are learning about new things about, the COVID every single day, and how severe it is and how contagious it is. And, running out of the face masks and, like I said, they're putting their health on the line. They have families back home. That's why my foundation goes back to first responders. It's, I understand, the effort and what they do and put their lives on on the line every single day in order for us to, live with, obviously great health and allow us to go to do our jobs. And people take it for granted, like I said, until it hits home. But, I just obviously want to thank all the first responders and nurses and doctors for doing this.
The hockey part of it is out of the spotlight, obviously. There's no question about that. But, how much do you hope that they're will be a way that, and I know that every scenario has been thrown out there and talked about, and the league has said they're open to any possibilities. But how much do you personally hope that somehow, some way, they're able to finish this thing this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's always hope, right? I don't know. It's obviously, as an athlete, that's all you want to do is play.
And that's something that I know David Savard is the player rep, and I know that he and Nick have talked a lot. As far as the NHLPA, have you had much dealings with any of those conversations to this point?
I mean, the only things that we've kind of discussed as a team was last week when Savard and Nick jumped on the phone with the PA when the PA was involved with the with Batman and the NHL and trying to figure out what we're going to do because there's so much unknown. So every day we're kind of filled in with new information. I think I want to say the last couple of days have been kind of slow just because we're strictly in quarantine mode. We're in phase 1. Everyone, if you stick around here, make sure you're doing what you have to do. And if you go home, do what you got to do there. And that's kind of the phase we're at right now. So I think we might be getting on the phone over the weekend to figure out some other things or kind of hear what's the latest and greatest. But I don't think what more can they possibly say right now?
Yeah, there's not much to say. You're right. Well, before I let you go, how did you spend all of this time without Declan being in the picture at all?
This is I planned it perfectly because 2:00 is his nap time. So my Nat and him are downstairs resting up, and I'm sure as soon as I get off the phone, Declan will be buzzing. Trust me, you would have heard him if he was up.
Well, I thought he might make a cameo. I wasn't sure. So.
I could go sneak down there and show them that they're sleeping, but no, it's
no, don't do that
time.
Because in the unlikely event he would wake up immediately, then that will dictate the rest of your day. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. It will be my fault, and I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah.
Cam, thanks so much for doing this. I really do appreciate it. Glad that you and your family are safe. Best of luck having that new baby when you go to the hospital next week. Hopefully everything is going to be great for you guys, and more hopefully we're all going to be back together pretty soon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bobby.
There he is, Blue Jackets forward Cam Atkinson. Hey, I want to remind you that the Monday mailbag is still coming at you each and every week, so you can send your questions to me. You can do it via Twitter at BobbyMacSports, or if you're feeling adventurous, or if you'd like to hear your own voice on the show, and who wouldn't, you can just take your phone and record a voice memo with your question. Give me your name and where you're from. Ask your question. I'll put it right in the show, and I will answer your question. Again, that's the Monday mailbag editions of CBJ and 30 presented by Ohio Credit Union. You have to have your questions in by Sunday evening, okay? Just to give you the heads up. Have your questions in by then, and I will be more than happy to answer those for you. So that's going to wrap up this edition of CBJ and 30 presented by Ohio Credit Union. Again, thanks to Cam Atkinson for joining me today, and thanks to you, as always, for being there. Until next time, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.